still remember that cold Wednesday morning, sitting in that courtroom, nervous, every bone in my body shaking, because my stalker had the guts to show up to court that morning. He was sitting in the table beside me. I could not believe it had gotten to this point. I had to deal with a stalker, with a creep that would message me, show up at my house, spread rumors. It was humiliating, it was scary, and this was my situation with a stalker. There was nothing the police could do until I had filed a restraining order. And that's when they would be able to do something. There's a process you have to go through to finally be awarded a restraining order against a stalker. See, the term stalking means engaging in a course of conduct directed at a specific person that would cause a reasonable person to fear for his or her safety or the safety of others, or suffer substantial emotional distress. This is according to justice.gov. Stronger legislation needs to pass to discourage the growing number of stalkers. An estimated 6 to 7.5 million people are stalked in a one-year period in the United States. This according to stalkingawareness.org. I'm going to be sharing on how stalking leads to stronger and more inappropriate problems, the different types of stalkers and the different ways that people stalk, and the current process of dealing with the stalker. First, let's talk about the dangers of stalking. Stalking leads to sexual harassment and stronger, more inappropriate issues. Stalkers rarely decide to stop without some sort of intervention. That tells me that the problem is only going to get worse. It is said that intimate partner stalkers frequently approach their targets and their behaviors escalate quickly because they already know that person. 78% of female victims have reported to the police. But what that tells me is that 22% of the women continue to be stalked and harassed without any form of help. Now, some states require that a victim have fear for his or her safety or suffer other emotional distress until something can be done, causing psychological distress. I know for myself, I had to have proof that this person was stalking me. You can't just go to court and want a restraining order against somebody. You need to have proof. They need to see that you are really going through it emotionally. There is no reason why a person should have to endure sexual harassment for any amount of time of this form, but if there were stronger consequences, I think it would definitely discourage people from thinking that stalking is normal, that there's nothing wrong with it. Now let's talk about the different types of stalking. There are different forms of stalking and different types of stalkers as well. 78% of stalkers use more than one means of approach. It's not just following someone in the street. You know, when they see someone that they like and they want to follow them home. Now it's done through email, it's done through instant message, it's done through social media platforms or even computer hacking. And there are also different types of stalkers. We have the predatory stalker who wants to attack a victim and hurt them. We have the intimacy stalker who wants to form an intimate relationship with the victim. Or we also have a resentful stalker who is angry and hurt by something that happened, something that the victim did to them in their mind, and therefore wants to hurt the victim. Finally, let's talk about the current process in dealing with the stalker. Now, as I mentioned, you can get a restraining order, but although you get a temporary restraining order while you wait for a court date, you need to know personal information about the stalker. That's something that I had to deal with. They asked me for a phone number, they asked me for an address of this stalker that I had. You had to know their date of birth, how old they were. This is a lot of information that is not that easy to get when you don't know your stalker. Many times cops have no authority in dealing with the stalker with someone who's following until a restraining order is acquired. And at the same time, this could take months, worrying about your safety, worrying about the safety of those around you because you're waiting for a court date. Anyone could be following you without you knowing them, and there's nothing that can really be done to stop it. If a stranger is following someone, that person, that victim cannot get a restraining order because there's personal information that you need to know about the stalker. 11% of stalking victims have been stalked for 5 years or more, and a person should not be allowed to harass someone for 5 years or more. I think the only reason someone would do this for that amount of time is because they don't see any real consequences coming against them that are strong enough. Now, in conclusion, I've shared about the dangers of stalking, the different forms of stalking, and the different types of stalkers. I talked about the current process of dealing with the stalker, which is acquiring a restraining order. But a change needs to be made now in order to see the number of stalkers decline. There needs to be harsh laws in place in order to scare away potential stalkers. We cannot wait for more people to fall victim to stalkers, for people to continue to have to deal with emotional distress, with fearing for their safety, for the safety of their loved ones, or possibly even being hurt physically. Stricter laws need to be passed in order to ensure the safety of these victims.